Hi, beautiful souls. I am Coach Priti Kang, and I want to welcome you from my heart to the Heal, Align, and Thrive show. And this is not just another podcast, it is your space to slow down, breathe, and realign your inner world with your purpose. Because healing does not happen in a hurry, it happens through honesty, awareness, and love. And here we bring together in this show leaders, healers, and coaches who don't just teach transformation, they live it. And today's episode is truly special. It marks the beginning of new chapter for this show. I used to do the solo, but now I start my very first interview episode so we can help more peoples. And I could not have chosen more inspiring guest in begin this journey with. He is a transformation life coach. I will say that NLP master and the creator of iHypnosys life coaching system, whereas actually he's helping the coaches and healers. And the a model built from 21,000 hours of research and transformation. And he spent more than 2 decades helping people awaken in their inner power, release limiting beliefs. I think that's a NLP powerful things. I love it, and live their purpose. So while building a global family of digital healer coaches through the movement of iHypnosis Life, where member leveling they call dots, connect like everything, and become as beautiful stars in the sky. So, with love, gratitude, and excitement, please join me. Welcome, my dear friend, and today's guest, Rahul George, to the Heal, Align, and Thrive shows. So, let me head to stage.
Wow.
Welcome, Rahul.
Wow, Preeti, thank you. That was so beautiful. It's like I'm literally covered in goosebumps right now. Thank you for such a warm and caring way of, not only just introducing me, but reminding me of my own journey. So thank you for those words. I could feel every word as you spoke it. So, as you know, just a little bit of backstory here. We've just met a couple of minutes ago, but it feels like somewhere, we've already connected, and I'm really looking forward to our time together here. That we also, get to connect deeper, and as you mentioned, that we get to share this message. I know we have a common message that we get to share it with the world, because especially today, the world really needs it.
Yeah, I'm completely agree that. And thank you so much for being my very first guest.
Yeah.
And your work around waking the purpose and alignment has even just mentioned we met few minutes ago, but I think I went through your courses, your the seminar, your videos. It's very, very deeply inspired. And before we start that, just how you feeling, how is
Mm.
today, it's weather and all that we can. So,
I'll go in reverse order. Um, I feel extremely, literally overcome with gratitude, um, that that this is your first guest that you have on the show, and that I get to be that guest. So I must
that's
also
something this is very
I
it's
must also mention, special thanks to Nilesh
yes,
for connecting us.
definitely.
And this is really what makes this work that we do so powerful, because
Yeah,
when we do it not necessarily from a place of, oh, I will get noticed or something, but we just do the work, and at
yeah,
the right time, people just show up and magic happens. So I'm definitely feeling a lot of those feelings right now, and my wish is that people take away from this, that belief that whatever you may be doing, even if it's the job that you're doing, somewhere that there's something bigger happening in your life, whether you know it now or not.
oh no, yeah, definitely, and just the first question, I would like life live your purpose. This is
Mm.
such a powerful mantra.
Yes. Yes.
And I will ask, like, from before we start, what does
Mm-hmm.
living your purpose truly mean to you?
Wow.
And
Amazing.
how did this mission begin? Because
Right.
that's a very, very important point to
Yeah.
discuss,
Yeah.
people's.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, there are several ways to answer the question. One, I'll say, is that it didn't happen overnight. It's
Mm-hmm.
been a process of a lot of inner reflection, a lot of soul searching. And I'll say this also because for a lot of us, for a long time, we used to think about, you know, you be passionate about what you do or find your passion and then sab kuch ho jayega, like life will just kind of reveal itself.
Yeah.
But from my own experience, I've realized that that's not necessarily the case. There is something even higher than that or deeper than that,
Yeah.
and that is purpose. Now, having said that, it's not necessary that on day one you will figure out what your purpose is. It's not necessary that even 5 years later you will find what your purpose is. However, if every day is treated as a way of just being mindful of that question,
Yeah.
like, okay, I want to live my purpose. And if you believe in God, you believe in a higher power, this is literally an opportunity to, to ask for that in prayer. That, I'm here to do the work, even if it is at this point a job, a salary, a way to not just survive, but also to be more and more in that thriving mode, and the belief that this is going to lead to something bigger, because we all know this. We are extremely blessed to be in this world, right? And it is a gift. So it's not just a gift only for us. It's a gift for our families. It's a gift for the world, the community that we live in. And so whenever we lose track, whenever we lose sight of, array, oh, this is so horrible, or life is so tough, it's just getting ready to remind us that there is something bigger that we are part of. And so this concept of live your purpose is not just a concept, it's a philosophy that I make it a point to tap into every single day.
Yeah.
So, this is something that has been growing over time. And I've understood that it's not, when I sign off in my podcast, I always say, remember to live your purpose. I used to say live with purpose, but then I had this realization that no, we actually have a purpose, whether we know it or not.
Awesome. Yeah. That's, I think, as we discussing before the COVID situation, I think
Yes,
after that is, purpose has completely
yes,
changed. Lot of
yes,
life get, almost I will say that 90 to 92%
yeah,
lives actually different.
yeah,
They, like,
yeah,
people actually think through, like,
yeah.
what is our
That's
purpose.
right. That's right.
And same to, like, we live in the world where everyone is chasing success, validation, even peace.
Hmm.
But so many people still feel disconnected inside.
Hmm.
So it is like, we just on your words, like, if you can define for two
Mm-hmm.
lines,
Mm-hmm.
what does living your purpose really mean in the
Hmm.
world that glorifies hustle and burnout?
Wow.
And
Yeah.
how can someone know if they are living for purpose or simply
Mm.
surviving on the autopilot? Like,
Mm.
what
Mm.
do you think about that?
Yeah. I there are a lot, like there's a lot to unpack in what you said, but I'll go the simpler route, right? Because of course we're also recording this for people to be able to take something practical away, regardless of whether they are right now, in that phase. And I guess for people who are listening to you already, they are, or they've already tapped into being the seeker, right? So somewhere
Yeah.
inside of them there is this desire to ask those deeper questions and to find those clearer answers, right? Those the
Mhm.
meaning of life, so to speak. So the way I would sort of answer your question is that asking yourself this one question on a daily basis, which is, I'll reveal it in a second, but before we get to that, it's something that will help you keep coming back to your center,
Yeah.
your core, right? And the question is this. And for those of you who are listening, if you happen to be driving, just make a note of it in your mind. Otherwise, if you're just, you have a pen handy, Write this question down. The question is, ask yourself, what do you want?
I think
That's the
that's a
first
very
part,
nice. I need
right?
to
That's
write
the
on myself.
that's the first part, right? What do you want? And I say this also because a lot of times when you ask yourself this or you ask somebody else this, say you ask a loved one, what do you want? And I've seen this over and over again for years. Doesn't matter how educated you are, doesn't matter how experienced you are in life, most people will resort to telling you what they don't want.
Hmm.
Right? So, Preeti, what happens then is people get stuck in a loop of what they don't want, what they don't have, and that's the perfect recipe to feel unhappy, unfulfilled, empty, lost, and the list goes on. But instead, when you focus on answering with what you really do want, so as I said, the first part is you ask yourself, what do you want? The second part is you ask it again by saying, what do you really want? So even if, say, somebody says, oh, I want money,
Hmm.
ask the question again, what do you really want?
Yeah.
Right? And if you make this into a habit of, literally like you're treating it like it's a meditation, after a point, you will start to connect more and more to that was your core question, which is, what does it mean to live your purpose? So when you ask this question over and over again, at some point, you'll actually start to connect to that, your purpose. You may already know it. You may have, especially for most of us as kids, we had that idea, but then as we grew older, we sort of talked ourselves out of it, or people talked us out of it, or a combination, right? But now, especially as adults, when we are already in that seeker mode, and you just stay with this question, right? There's a very high probability that you will start to discover, maybe at time initially just sort of like fleeting moments, but it'll start to become clearer about what it is that is your purpose. That's the first part. And then the second part is where now comes the thing about living your purpose.
Yeah. I think that this is you put in two line the question and they give the answer. I think people's we even myself I need to digest for that, and it is very beautifully you add that it's very I think it's a two line, but it is life changing
Yeah,
lines.
yeah,
It is it is clear your brain your thoughts
yes,
and your like even you just maybe first time who listen this one they think through okay we
yeah,
need to talk about this one
yeah,
ourselves
yes.
because I always say that we are busy so much
Mm,
busy to looking other people what is going on and
mm.
we sometimes we run to live like sit with another person talk to other person but we almost forget to talk ourselves so I
So
think that
true.
is the one question with
Yeah,
the
so true.
so with your journey one I
Mm-hmm.
as I mentioned like you spend a lot of time like
Mm-hmm.
21,000 hours researching refining building this iHypnosys life coaching system that's extraordinary I will say that it is
Thank you. Thank
lot of commitment asked for that
you. Mm.
and what inspired you to, this for to, start this, bring this system? What
Mm.
were the some key turning point that shaped this powerful system?
Mm. That's a great question. It sort of takes me back to maybe the very early years. You talked about personal loss, and so in my own life, when I was 10, my dad passed away, and I know in many ways that has shaped my perspective on life. Um, it has made me a lot more aware, a lot more present. Of course, there's a certain presence that a 10-year-old can have,
Yeah.
but if I look back at these last several decades, um, that is definitely something that has shaped my perspective on what it like why do people behave the way they do, right? And what is it that really drives people? And for me, that is something that I have practiced over time, which
Mm-hmm.
is not only to study that in a sort of an unofficial capacity, but even when I was in my in this is in India in based in Bangalore, even when I chose my subjects for my degree, I chose psychology, right?
Wow.
So if I go back in time, I've always been very, very connected to, what is it that makes us tick? Why do we do what we do? And how are we defining ourselves, and how can we define or redefine who we are? So those are questions I've asked for decades, in a unofficial capacity, and over time, of course, that has grown into what I do. And over the years, of course, if I go into my story, it's like in my 20s, I came across this field and a way to be able to make sense of human behavior, especially language, and that was NLP, or neuro linguistic programming. And
Mm-hmm.
then from there on out, it just kept growing with time, right? So eventually, I blended both NLP, or neuro linguistic programming, and hypnosis. And so now, if I look back 30, 40 years, from that, let's say, the origin story, um, today I would say I'm very blessed that I get to understand the language that people speak. Why do we say what we say? What is that second layer, third layer, fourth layer beneath what we are saying?
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, the unlock for people happens much faster. Meaning that if people are saying things to themselves, a lot of times we tend to be oblivious. We tend to be in our heads,
Yeah.
right? And so we don't realize the words that we're saying. We don't realize the violence that we are actually, doing to ourselves, until you have that moment of, let's say, being in a mentorship program, or being in a, it could be even a 2 hour webinar. It doesn't really matter where, or it could be reading a book also, for that matter, reading or even listening to a book today in today's context, right? But that shift will happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Agree. That's a way that I will say that sometime even we don't know, as you explained, like we just talk.
Mm,
We our brain has a pattern that has a words in. We don't even think about
yeah.
and that's somewhere is become our trigger point.
Mm,
Like
yeah.
there is a triggers patterns we don't even think about. We don't there is a your I was reading your about for pause, and in my coaching, like when I talk to relationship and I say like pause is the key.
Yes. Yes.
Wherever you start pausing, you half of the problem you solve,
Yes.
because that time you stop reacting.
Yeah.
Reaction, you don't give a reaction, you
Yeah.
just react on that. It meaning
That's right.
makes a lot of difference. Even 5 minutes
Mm.
second
Mm.
pause is also
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So I think that's a beautiful explanation about that. As you mentioned, like you beautifully actually mix to integrate hypnosis and NLP into your
Mm.
coaching method. But someone is new on these
Mm.
practice. Can you explain like how hypnosis life coaching actually helps people
Mm.
rewire their subconscious, create
Mm.
real and
Beautiful.
lasting transformation? Because what happened when I saw that when we do the NLP and all that,
Mm.
that's also looking for practice, right?
Right.
But only the I am an NLP certified also, but I see this when sometimes it takes time
Yes.
to
Yes.
change and install new pattern,
Yes.
install new beliefs.
Yeah.
But how hypnosis and NLP helping on your model
Mm.
you
Mm.
doing,
Yeah.
how that helping like people you know for lasting transformation?
Right. That's a very, very uh, pointed question, and I love that, because you're right. When you look at NLP in particular, and especially the world that we live in today, there is more awareness of it. In fact, just recently, I think now about 2 weekends ago, they celebrated 50 years of NLP. Right, so NLP has been around for a while, It started in the US, sort of went around, eventually found itself in the on the shores of India as well. And now post COVID, there's obviously a lot more awareness,
Yeah.
especially in the Indian context. So people at least talk about NLP. There are courses, there are teachers. So I'm giving you all this context because on its own, NLP is very, very powerful. But like any powerful tool, it's only through practice that we develop mastery, right? So that's one answer to your question. And I understand, especially for people who are not yet in the, okay, I want to do this for other people, therefore I'm going to be a specialist, therefore I'm going to spend years studying NLP. Like I have, if I now look back at my journey, uh, I found NLP in 2007, right? So it's been a good 18 years already of practicing it, applying it, testing it, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work in specific contexts. So if I zoom out for a second, why I'm saying all of this is for people who are just starting out and they don't have any idea about what is NLP, how does it help, and for
Yeah.
that matter, hypnosis as well. I'll give you like the simple version of it, which is even if there are like two patterns that you can change. One of them, like I said, is if you, this is like a thinking pattern,
Hmm.
which is you ask yourself the question, what do you want? And then if you find yourself spinning out, ask yourself the question, but from another layer, which is what do you really want? So this is the, it's like 18 years of research in 2 minutes. Right. So,
That is.
you get like a YouTube title. So I'm saying this is one of the things I will definitely say that even if you start here, you will start to find yourself becoming more conscious, more aware of your thoughts.
Yeah.
And at the core of it, NLP is, you could say, a thinking tool, right? That's one. The second part is when you look at NLP and hypnosis, it's a speaking tool. By that
Mm.
I mean the words that we use are what is creating that hypnotic trance in us. So if someone is caught in a loop of, I'm not good enough, people don't love me,
Yeah.
right? I'm not worthy of love, right? I'm unlucky, I will always be like this. These are actually thought loops because of what we're telling ourselves.
Hmm.
Maybe something happened at one point. It's like when we were kids, maybe your teacher or a parent, someone older typically, would have told you something in a specific context, right? Maybe you spilled milk on the floor and you were told, oh, you're so clumsy, right?
Yeah.
Now, you are so clumsy is sounds very simple as, what is it? You are so clumsy. It's like 4 words, right? You are so clumsy.
Yeah.
But somewhere inside of us, if we took that to heart and we imprinted that in our heads, and then every time we went to any place and if something dropped, that reinforced it.
Yes.
And somewhere that became our identity, right? The I am so clumsy. Oh, I'm not good with technology. I don't know this.
Yeah.
That is like literally hypnosis 101, meaning that we are literally hypnotizing ourselves. Forget anybody else, forget social media in today's world hypnotizing us. This is like we have unconsciously been practicing this hypnosis. So, what is the solution for that? So, that's what's happening. What's the solution for that? And that is, what if you just started to practice listening to the words that you're saying? And the moment you say, like, I'm not good enough, ask yourself this one question. And it's just one word. You know what it is?
Hmm.
Always. So
That.
it's like, I'm so bad. Always? Question mark. And the tone, and this is where it is language, it is a hypnotic command
Yeah.
where when you're saying always, like always, so the tone is more like as if like it's a kid saying, What? What are you talking about? It's like always? Really? Really? So I'm giving you one word which is always. You can replace that with really, even if you just take one option of always or really, and
Hmm.
if you just start questioning the words or the limiting belief that you're going on telling yourself, and you just make that your practice. I can promise you, for your listeners, especially in say 3 weeks from now or 3 months from now, The ones who have actually taken this one simple little seed, magic seed with them and gone and practiced it, they'll come back and tell you there's something shifted.
Yeah,
Now, I don't know what that is, but that is the power of what we're doing,
that is true.
right?
I completely agree with you, Rahul, because I'll just give a little example. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for years there is a someone call me hey. I was like so irritated. Like that word
Mm,
is somewhere. I
yeah.
don't know the young age, whatever. It's in my mind. Like simply hey, I don't like it.
Mm,
And when that's NLP I started, that time my first time like what is that hey word? And I
right,
just to literally install myself, call me 10 times, hey, this is nothing to there. There
right.
is a behind some emotion which is I need
Yes,
to heal.
yes,
Actually, I'm not reacting to the word. I'm
yes.
reacting to the whatever happened to me.
Exactly,
So I
exactly.
think this is like
Yeah,
I can just
yeah.
correlate.
And Preeti, if you think about it, it's so powerful, isn't it? It would have happened once,
Yeah,
but it was sort of like quote unquote right place, right time, but in for the wrong reasons, and that just got installed so quickly, like literally like hard coded into you, and
yeah,
then your life kind of went a certain way until you said no more.
yeah. That is true.
I choose not to react to that.
Yeah,
And that is where you've decided to make a shift, and like you just now shared, now you get to share it because that's your old version of you,
yeah.
not who you are being now.
That is true. That's a very powerful thing. So I think that's a word always is like tone, and I think tone is
Yes,
also
yes.
make a
Oh,
lot of sense in
100%,
this.
100%,
Yeah. So
100%.
that's a. But one other question about for
Mm-hmm.
subconscious mind because
Mm-hmm.
that's my favorite part.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about
Yeah,
for that, like so
absolutely.
many people say I trying to change. That's like,
Mm.
but I
Mm.
keep falling back.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Why does transformation fail when the
yeah,
subconscious is not involved?
yeah,
And how can people begin reprogramming those
yeah.
deep emotional, as I mentioned, emotional pattern that keep
Mm.
stuck?
Mm.
So I think one you already mentioned. Is there anything part of your
Yes,
training, you
yes.
like because people, one thing I see the awareness for last after COVID, like 4 5
Mm.
years,
Mm.
people start thinking now
Yeah.
lot of there was a yesterday I was reading in Stanford, they
Mm.
Stanford University actually published the one
Mm-hmm.
vlog there walk they wrote there um, in 2020 2019 till every seventh person was doing the meditations, but
Mm.
now it is like every third person is doing
Mm.
meditation. People start awareness. It's not just India,
Mm.
but outside I saw a lot of things awareness happening. So,
Yeah.
but again, question people, busy or they're trying to
Yeah.
change,
Yeah.
but then things
Yeah.
happen, situation come, they fall
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
So, what you're like think like
Yeah.
how people
Yeah.
to I will say not situations always come, but how can people keep their
Yeah.
self okay, there is some
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah. So I've been, holding myself back for the last 2 minutes. I was waiting for you to frame it because the answer is in the question that you asked me. Meaning, and for those of you who've been listening, you'd have heard Preeti mention, and this is very true. People will say, "Oh, I tried to do this." Right? So, and this is something that I learned from my teacher, who learned from his teacher, and this is shout out to Richard McHugh and of course to Richard Bandler as well over time. The cue is this, right? Just like Yoda said, do or do not. There is no try.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the simple answer to your question, and I'll sort of unpack it for a second here, right? The moment you catch yourself, and this is a habit that for most of us growing up, we used it, but nobody told us to stop doing it, right?
Yeah.
I don't ever remember as a kid if I said I'll try and come on time, or nobody stopped me saying no, don't say that. You can either say yes I will, or I can't, or I will not.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, when the moment, if you respond to yourself or to somebody else saying, yeah, I will try and fill in the blank, I'll try and come on time, I'll try and change, that
Mm-hmm.
itself is a warning bell. And stop, because
Wow.
that's the time to say, hang on, what did I just say? Oh, I see what's going on here. Because the moment, in that moment, you're choosing to be aware of what you're saying, you're not giving yourself that hall pass.
Yes.
If you say, no, I can't do it right now, or I don't want to do it right now, I'm not ready, that is
Mm-hmm.
still a better, a more honest response than saying, I'll try. Because, and I'll demonstrate this, even if we are only listening to this, even if you're just, for those of you who are listening and you're only listening, and let's say if you're not seeing this on video, imagine this. So I'm just thinking, do you have something by your side, Preeti? Maybe a pen or something there?
Yeah.
Anything just like within
Yes.
distance, right? Perfect. So yeah, so you've got that, a device in your hand, right? So if you
Mm-hmm.
place it on the table, and I said, Preeti, try and lift it up.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening?
I'm just doing that one, right? Brain is just trained and do it,
So
right?
you're actually lifting it. I
Yeah.
said, try and lift it.
Yeah.
You-
Yes.
Can you feel the difference already? Right? For
Yes.
those of
Yes.
you who are listening,
I got it.
so Preeti was holding or was about to hold an object in her hand, and I said, try and do it. Now, try by definition means either you lift it up, or when you
No.
say try, you will not lift it up.
Yeah.
Try means your hand is just on the object and you're not moving it. Even if
Yes.
you're trying to move it, you can't actually lift it up. Right? So either you lift it up or you don't.
You
Now
don't.
imagine in all the areas of our lives, or if I say it like this, what are the most frequent three areas of your life where you keep saying this to yourself? Let me try and do this.
This
And
is
what
I.
if, right? What if you just stop and tell yourself, either I'm going to do it now or not? Because
Mm-hmm.
at least you're being honest with yourself, like, hey, you know what, uh, let me try and go to the gym, or try and get off sweets, or try and give up the smoking, or whatever it is that you're doing. And instead you're saying, you know what, I'm not ready right now. That honesty itself will release you. That
Yes.
itself will heal you. I'm not saying that's the end objective, or that's like a one and done, but at least you're being true to yourself.
That is honestly, I think that's a
Right?
power, you know,
Yeah.
because when you're honest, that you accept it. First, I think that any
That's it.
healing, I
That's it.
always said my client, like, until you don't accept yourself,
Yes,
healing will not start.
exactly.
We are just keep ignoring ourselves, what
That's right.
actually truly we are.
Yeah,
And when ignoring, we don't accept, then growth start. The first growing
yeah,
anywhere, we
yeah,
need to accept.
yeah,
I think that's a powerful.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
very eye opening. Like,
And just for
usually, like, the kids also be, oh, I try my
yeah,
best.
yeah.
That
Ooh,
I think this is
that
we
is such a
use a
powerful
lot.
lesson, right?
Again, the pattern.
Yeah, and imagine as a parent, now when you listen to your kids, and the moment you hear them say this, unlike you who's maybe lived the last 20, 30 years without anyone teaching you this, imagine this is the shift that you're creating in them now.
Definitely, yeah.
So they grow up realizing from this moment that I'm just going to change my language. And for kids, we're not even complicating it. We're just saying, either you do it or you don't,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? So you're already teaching them without lecturing at them.
Yes.
And when as they grow up, imagine they grow up and they're into their teens and then into their 20s. How powerful that is. That's literally like a legacy that will, for decades, it will keep getting stronger and stronger in them.
Yeah, I think that's a true. Like, I see that now my daughter, she's
Hmm.
going school, and she
Mm.
somehow, she love
Yeah,
cricket.
right.
And when this Women World Cup happened,
Yes.
she just mentioned, "Oh, I want to play cricket, mommy." I
Nice.
said, "Okay, you can do it."
Uh-huh.
But the thing is, like, when I'm now even my taking care for my daughter,
Yeah.
I just notice these things.
Mm.
What I was my thought process before, I
Yes.
start sometime comparing.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to tell her, okay, no, Hargun, this is the way, right?
Yeah.
That's
And
okay.
notice, if I may, I can't help this. This is just me being me. Did you just hear what you said a
Yeah,
second ago?
yeah, that is,
You said, I try to tell her. But now, as you start to hear yourself, you literally catch yourself.
yeah,
And the moment you hear yourself saying the word, oh, I try to do this, that's the moment to stop. And you
yes,
say, you know what? No, I'm actually doing it. I'm actually telling her this.
yeah.
And
And
you've,
she's I see the changes on her,
yeah,
because before that, like, if the old Preeti, I always say, like, my old boss, like, she sometime called me and she said, like, Gina, I was saying, like, this is the different Preeti. I said, yes,
yes,
this is
yes,
different
so
Preeti,
true.
because now a lot
Yeah,
more awareness
yeah,
in within
yeah.
me. So
And I suspect, Preeti, even in your story, the little that we've spoken so far, at some point you stopped trying
yeah,
and you actually started to, pay more attention. You started to look within and
yeah,
actually do it, not in the someday, maybe, I wish, but instead you've actually made it a point to become more present to yourself. You talked about the word pause. Something that I talk a lot about in our community is practicing stillness,
yes,
right? And the more we practice that stillness, that is what makes us become more present,
yeah,
more aware of, like, am I in my head right now? Or am I actually listening to what I'm saying? Can I feel it in my heart?
yeah.
Right?
I think that's a powerful thing. I think
Mm.
the tried word, I think today from even very aware that one. And this, this is the, key word. I will say
Yeah.
that we need
Yeah.
to take care.
Mm.
One of the things,
Mm-hmm.
Rahul, and
Mm-hmm.
because my brain is just when my transformation happened and
Yes, yes,
I
yes.
start looking around me.
Mm.
The last few years, after COVID, because of people's isolated in home for
Mm.
a long time,
Yes.
there is addictions, lot of addictions. When
True.
we say addiction, it's not just drugs. It is
Mm.
alcohol. It's smoking.
Mm.
And also there is a lot of even social media and all that. These
Mm-hmm.
are all
Mm-hmm.
addictions, right? When we even doing the reels,
True.
right?
Yeah.
And there is a lot of emotional disconnection happen
Mm.
during this one. And when we looking study these all addictions, people mostly when someone drinking or someone doing something like that, we always pointing, oh, you need to change this one, you need to be
Mm.
just try more angry with that
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
But the study, when I did this one, I realization, my first realization, it's not their fault,
Mm.
because study showing is a 70% is this is whole mindset, and the
Mm.
30% is physical. There is a
Mm.
emotional, there is a pattern, that's a
Mm.
trigger point,
Mm.
like dopamine, they give some
Yeah.
pleasure, right? There is
Mm-hmm.
not how you think there's a in NLP,
Mm-hmm.
the work you are doing, how
Mm-hmm.
this will help people. It's like,
Mm.
what is the word what they need to do as a
Yeah.
family, the sport someone doing, or
Yeah.
they need to do with their self. So
Right.
what do you
Yeah.
think about that?
Yeah. So there are some, this I will unpack because I know for people listening, um, sometimes it's not just them, it's the family as well. So it could be a family member thinking of somebody in their family who is going through this, or it could be the person who is, who has an addiction that they no longer want, right?
Yeah.
And that is I will start there. Talking to people who have an addiction, if they do not want to let go of it, right? That is, it's like literally saying at least they know what they want, which is they don't want to let go of it for this moment, right? So I would say that if you look at the family members who may be listening in, like if that person does not want to stop, whatever you try and do, by and large, it's not going to it's not going to prevent it,
Hmm.
because If you try and stop them in one place, they will find a way to fulfill that some other way,
Yeah. True.
right? Like someone asked me, like, can you work with this person? You know, the family wants them to stop. I said, okay, fair enough. At least the family knows what they want. But the person who is doing it, what do they want? They're like, no, they're very happy with their smoking up. I said, well, that's the whole point, that if they are not yet ready, and because we're talking specifically about hypnosis and NLP, I would say when they are ready, yes, I will work with them. But until then, you can, maybe tell them, but it becomes very sort of surface level,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it may not be the answer that people want to hear, but the truth is that until someone is actually ready to make that change, no amount of, unless you're putting them into some sort of like a moderated environment, right? So, for example, we know this, right? That someone's having really a really tough time, and they go and join, say, some kind of like the forces. Yeah, it could
Yeah.
be the armed forces. Armed forces is a great example of that, right? Where people have turned their life around, because that system is designed around you have to follow orders. That's it. There are no two ways about it. But in the life that we live in, sort of like what we call civilian life, largely that doesn't exist. So even if you try and curb somebody, or try and, you want a family member to not do the smoking, drinking, whatever the habit is, beyond a point, it will be counterproductive. It's like I
Mm-hmm.
was sharing with my students yesterday. Imagine taking a, a fully inflated basketball and putting it on the surface of water, say in a swimming pool, right? Even if you try really hard to pull it under, what's going to happen at some point?
Yeah.
It, it'll like bounce right
Gonna
back
be
up.
once
And the
back.
harder you push it down,
It will
the
go up.
woof, it's like literally like like a tsunami. It'll like, you know, like be like a 10-foot wave coming up.
Yeah.
So, uh, yes, having said that, what I do is I do work with the 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 family, it could be the parents of that person, rather than the person themselves in the short run, because the parents, or those the people that are part of that support system, they also can be helped, because they are open to the help. They may
Mm-hmm.
not they may not come in thinking that they are going to get the coaching or the counseling, but I know that they are more open to it most often than the person who's actually, who has that addiction.
Yeah.
So that's one way of answering it, right? um, Having said that, for people who are ready to, as you say, to quit the habit, there are some extremely powerful ways, extremely powerful methods within the world of NLP as well as hypnosis. And as long as you want to no longer be the person that was the fill in the blank addict, and you're like, I'm done with that life, it will just switch in a second.
Wow.
I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it in the lives of people that I've worked with, that once you're ready and you're like done with it, you literally become the other person. But like with anything else in life, there is a price to pay.
Yeah.
Because if you're no longer that, fill in the blank addict, that means you're now somebody else. And sometimes that can lead to major shifts in the family,
That
right?
is true.
So, for example, somebody is an alcoholic and now becomes, somebody who loves working out, or who loves exercising, or running, let's say, right? Long distance running. Now, if the family doesn't support the person in the new habit, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
The
They're
old
gonna.
problem doesn't go away. If
Yeah.
earlier they were fighting because the person was drinking, and now they're fighting because the person's never there. It's like, oh, you're going off on another Ironman, right? Oh, you're spending so much of money. It's like, that's not the solution. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that there are hundreds of, and in fact, thousands of stories of people shifting and changing, but a lot of that has to do with their willingness. But also remember that when the person changes, they're changing their identity. They're not changing their habits. We think, getting rid of an addiction is changing a habit. No, it's actually changing your identity. So, my question to those listening is, are you willing to support that loved one when they become this new person?
Yeah, there was always something, exchange offer is always need to be there. Like,
Yes,
if
yes, yes.
you're looking from one things to, but there is another things you need to accept that one.
Yes.
So I think that's
Yeah.
a you need to understand.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, thank you. And I think the last quick two questions. Um, I think as we're discussing, I say this. I'm not even seeing the time. It's like so feeling so good with your,
Thank you. Thank
eye
you for that,
opener
Preeti.
knowledge. So
Mm.
one quick, two question
Mm-hmm.
quick. One is the family about, the both we work for a relationship, like
Mm-hmm.
family being.
Mm-hmm.
But why do people, even the most loving ones, end up repeating the same emotional pattern generation after
Mm.
generation? This is
Mm.
I felt it my own experience when
Mm-hmm.
I see that the family, especially in Punjab side, I see that
Mm.
generation to generations we are giving same patterns, mother
Correct.
to daughter, father to
Correct.
son. Even
Yeah.
that's like what do you think, like the power step for one step they can take to break this, because
Mm.
someone need to break this cycle,
Yes.
otherwise it will continue move to cycles.
Yeah.
What do you think, like the one things they can take on that to
Yeah.
break these emotional patterns?
Yeah. So I'll sort of link it back to when I was hearing your story as well. And I know, we share a common story there, which is somewhere there is one person that starts to hear this calling from within,
Hmm.
that either it could be, I don't want this anymore, right? Or I want this to stop. And so, what starts as a calling from within is where, when you start to listen to it, in today's world, especially now we're in 2025 at the time of this recording, that there are a lot of resources outside of us.
Hmm.
It could be your Insta feed, it could be YouTube. YouTube in this context is very, very powerful because there are a lot of resources that are out there that are echoing what we're hearing inside.
Hmm.
When we talk about, changing generational patterns, right? So to answer your question is like, one is, if for people who are listening to this, if you're already hearing that from inside, ki you want to stop this, right? I don't want to, and it may be a don't, right? I don't want this to happen anymore, right? And when you now start hearing that voice on the outside, which could be a podcast or could be, a video, whatever it is, that's reflecting what you're saying you're done with and you want a different life, that's the start. And then, like you have had in your story and even in mine, that we are making it a point to fill our immediate environment with resources that start to create that cleaning, right? So that could be, listening to a podcast, it could be listening to an audiobook, could be attending a course, but somewhere you're constantly looking to see, like, is like which one of these connects with me,
Yeah.
right? And when you do this, I'm saying this also because if you zoom out for a second, your existing environment is still in that, like that jet lag of not 1 day or 2 days, it's of generations,
It's a
right?
generation,
So
yeah.
they are unaware of anything else. They're like, but this is how it is. This is how it's always been. In our family, this happens. But internally, if you're saying, no, I don't want this anymore. So that's why initially, when you're reflecting outside of your immediate environment and you're looking at people, you're looking at communities, like, say the community that you have, the community that I have, it is filled with people that have decided to change their environment, their status quo.
Yep.
That is in my, and I'm saying this in the most practical way. And I also say this because 20 years ago, when I began this journey, a lot of this didn't exist. We
Yeah.
couldn't do what we're doing right now, literally from the comfort of our own homes and our own studios. We could not do this 20 years ago. So the world has changed, right? So it's an opportunity for us, for people who are listening to this, where like, I really want to change right now. I'm sick and fed up of and sick and tired of, you know, the immediate environment where people are being negative or people are like, but this is how it is. And so when you start to look just a little beyond that, you will see people like us that are sort of being your mirror. Because, and I always say this, you know, when we find somebody who we really connect with, they are the future version of us today.
Yeah.
So for someone listening to you, Preeti, they're like, oh, that's me from the future, which means that if Preeti can change, so can I.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay.
I think that's I get a little bit. I think that's a very, very. It's remember me something emotional.
Wow.
I get with this. The generation to generation things need to be changes. That's I
Yeah.
think make me really think about, like, when you're talking. Okay, I was able to relate.
Wow.
That's things happen family to families, and
Yes.
how someone take that decision. I think my
Mm.
dad was the person who broke this one,
Wow. That's amazing.
and I think I got so many things from him, and because
Mm.
he broke some cycles, and I
Yes.
was able to broke some cycle.
Yeah.
So I think this is very I will say that emotional with that line become right in
Amazing.
this question. One other things like, Rahul, is it's these days manifestation is in trend,
Mm. Yes.
and when I see the manifestation, I always say that there is need to be alignment.
Mm. True.
Even
Yeah.
I will say that if you get the even manifestation, you will not able to keep. For example, you
Mm.
got the lottery, but if you
Yeah.
are not aligned inside, you are not calm, you don't know how to
Mm.
use,
Mm.
you don't know that, like, the reaction situations, like, how you're gonna save this money, how you're gonna, you open a
Mm.
business, there is a some problem is situation coming in business, then how you gonna handle. So
Right.
for me is all alignment. What
Mm.
do you think about that, the
Mm.
manifestations and all these
Mm.
what one line you can just
Mm.
define that in
Mm.
your work, in your
Yeah.
areas? What is meaning for manifestation, and is you are looking alignment, people need align,
Mm.
or like, how,
Mm.
what was your
Yeah.
view on that?
Yeah. I love the word that you used, Preeti. You say alignment. I would sort of say it the same, but maybe from a different perspective, which is feeling, right? So, alignment is a feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like some days you just wake up and you're like, wow, I got this. That's the feeling. And the feeling is of alignment. So, if you, especially like you said, today there's a lot more talk about manifestation, and a lot of that has to do with really becoming more aware of the feeling that you have. So, by that I mean, and I over the years have also had those experiences where, say, for example, it's um, let's say it's an affirmation that you're saying,
Yeah.
right? And internally, if the feeling is, oh, this is BS, right? So then that is what you're actually tapping into rather than what you actually want. So if you're like, I'm a millionaire, but inside you're going, yeah, right. That is actually the feeling that's getting amplified, right? The yeah, right feeling. Because then, as you said, even if by some fluke you happen to get the money, it just quickly disappears. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and in a lot of the work that we are doing, that you're doing, that I'm doing, it is about becoming more aware of who we are. And this is something that we focus a lot on, which is identity, right? The more you're willing to transform your identity, which means truly choose that identity that is, you used this word earlier before we began, which is to serve,
Yeah.
right? If your identity is linked to this really core principle of I want to serve, right? I am serve. I am serving, right? So it's
Mhm.
not just the doing of it, but you're being it.
Yeah.
Like you can be generous, or it can be like um, you are generosity.
Hmm.
So if I say I am generosity, that actually is a an identity that I'm choosing to be. You see where
Yes.
I'm going with this?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is why usually it fails,
Hmm.
because we are not yet being that version of us that can be the container for what we want, right? So it's like for me, every morning, this is my prayer, right? Um, Continue to make me the container of your love, healing, and transformation.
Wow.
That's what I am constantly reminding myself. And when I connect to, to my higher power, that is the conversation that I'm having, right? So it's
That's
about literally being that. When we are that, which is the alignment, then we start to experience these miracles. And it could
that
be
is
money, it could be the work that we're doing, all of the above.
that is true. I think that's a powerful. I think because I sometimes I also got some people DM me, why you are
Mm.
always saying like you people saying like you need affirmation, but you are like
Huh.
okay, do breathing, do the
Huh.
you need
Yes.
to change your pattern and breathe
Yes.
and all that. And I just explain same thing. I was thinking
Yeah.
one day I'm gonna make that one because
Yeah.
until you are not aligned with that,
Yeah.
you don't have that vibration.
Yeah.
You can maybe even get, but how you gonna handle that?
Is how, and also how do you continue to be that?
Yeah, yeah,
And as I
that's
said, it's continue to be that, not
yeah,
continue to do that. We
yeah,
think, all of these practices is a doing. It's the other way around. All of our practices that we've learned, it's a being.
yeah.
And as long as we're in that state of being, it it's beautiful. It's like in India we call it Jannat, right? It's literally like you're living like heaven on earth.
That is true.
But the moment we switch out of it, boom, right?
I think that's a beautiful way you explain that things because uh, the being it is very very important
Yes,
because until that is done, even you got everything, you will not have a
that's right.
peace. You are not
Yeah.
calm. You're inside somewhere something is
Mm,
going on.
mm.
But even with that there is gratitude coming right on that
Yes.
same
Oh,
space. Like,
100%. 100%.
so I think this
Yeah.
is, we need to be more on
Yeah.
whatever we get that. Even
Mm.
some people is happy in the small things.
Yeah.
Think about for the kids, right?
Yeah.
They are happy with one toy,
Yeah. It's
and
the
sometimes
universe.
we
It's
buy,
literally the universe,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and that's sometimes we bought the BMW,
Mm.
but still okay, got
Yeah.
it. We are not happy.
It's like it's over. That hit is over, right? The
Yeah,
hit was over the moment you sat in the car and maybe you drove off the lot. That's it. That's done.
yeah.
It's like now what?
Yes, because I don't have a satisfaction inside. I don't have alignment inside because I'm just running around with that one thing.
Mm.
And thank you. One other thing, last, sorry.
Sure. No,
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
right. So
Absolutely.
one simple daily practice for
Mm.
alignment. What
Mm.
one thing you can add, and
Yeah.
people need to,
Yeah.
who feel like they want to change something inside.
Mm. Mm.
They I'm not saying that try. I got your word.
You can hear that, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
beautiful. That's beautiful, Preeti.
who feel
So,
disconnect right
yeah,
now, and the simple practical daily
yeah,
habit or
yeah,
ritual they can begin.
absolutely, absolutely. I'll give you like the simplest unit of it. I mentioned this a little while back, but this is the how do you do it, right? Because a lot of times we talk about what to do, but we either we forget or we don't simplify it enough so that people have a how to that is the smallest unit possible, right? And what I'm talking about, of course, is stillness. Now, stillness is like saying just before you go to bed or just after you get up, can you, or in fact, let me say it like this: when you sit in that stillness,
Hmm.
even if you say, I'm going to sit for the next 30 seconds, that's it.
Wow.
Okay. And it helps if you close your eyes because there's less distractions, and our eyes are designed for part of our survival happened because we had eyes, right? So our eyes are constantly going to be mapping the world because that's just, it's at the back of our head. Literally, like that's how we've survived all these, you know, many millions, billions, whatever is our, our evolution. So, as I said, if you just sit with your eyes closed for 30 seconds, right? Some people need a timer, put the timer. Some people are like, I'm just going to sit with my eyes closed, right? And when you start to feel that fidget, open your eyes, carry on with your day.
That is
That's it,
true. Wow. I think
right?
that's a you give that actually the silent one.
Yeah.
That's again pause and silent. I
Yes, yes,
think
yes, yes.
this is like the one thing I will, say that what you just to describe in one line, one small
Mm-hmm.
action.
Mm.
I think if people do in week or 2 weeks, they
Yes.
can see the
Oh,
difference
yes.
in their life.
100%.
I think
100%.
this is like, this is awesome. I think
Yeah.
that's I will say the golden nuggets. It's just nothing is a 30
Yeah.
second, like,
Yeah.
when you start
Yeah.
enjoying, then you
Yeah.
can, that's a,
That's it.
yeah,
Right? When it's like, and this is how our brains are also wired. For those people who are like, oh, but what after 30 seconds? You get to create that reality,
yeah, that
right?
is, yeah. And
Yeah.
and thank you so much, Rahul.
My
One
pleasure.
thing, where and how people can find you,
Mm. So
because
I will share a
everything.
link. People can, click on that. It's like all the different channels that I'm on. It's all linked to it. Otherwise, of course, on Insta, people can find me at Rahul George iHypnosis. That's IHypnosys. But the link will be there.
Mhm.
In and so basically you can share the link with them, and
Yeah.
people can find me through different formats. I do a podcast, like you were talking about it at the start of your show today. I do a daily podcast. I've been doing that now for more than 3 years, every single day. So I made it a point to, no matter what, I will record every day. So that's one way people can stay connected. The other is like what you did here. I've been very blessed that now I think we've just wrapped up episode number 94. So I look to connect with people who are healers, especially healers and coaches, so that their story can really inspire and remind all of us, especially as healers, coaches, and seekers,
Hmm.
that there's a reason why we are doing this. So
Yeah.
when we hear their stories, it inspires us, and of course, because of the pod, you get to know more about who they are, what they do, just like how you have, so beautifully asked me these really really powerful questions. So people get to know a little bit about my view of the world or what I do. So these are like two pods that are available. We are of course on Spotify, and as I said, the link is there, so people can find me through that. And of course, the brand name, for those of you who are watching this, it's IHypnosys. So that is sort of unique enough. If you type
Yeah.
this in, you'll find it showing up on all the different channels, right? And yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, getting to speak to you, Preeti, and spend this time together on a beautiful. We are of course on a Sunday, 12:27 at this time. So it's been an absolute pleasure spending this time with you.
Thank you so much, Rahul. So it's being, my first guest. I think that's really exciting, and I'm so happy. You came and your words. I think, such a wisdom and calm, and this conversation, even in meeting to you, it really, touched my heart. So you reminded us that transformation does not come from
Mm,
doing more,
yes,
but from
so
slowing
true.
down,
Beautiful.
listening
Yeah,
within, and trusting our own soul, rhythm. So,
lovely.
to everyone who's listening, remember this: you are not behind in life.
Yes,
You are exactly where your soul needed to be. Pause, breathe, and realign. So
wow.
again, thank you so much, Rahul.
Thank you,
For
Preeti.
it was wonderful. It was really pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so
Likewise,
much.
and wish you all the best, and may more people find you. May you find amazing guests on your journey of, curating your pod in the coming years. Wish you all the best, Preeti, on your endeavors as well, all
Thank you so
your
much.
adventures.
Thank you so much, Emma.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. And before we end, so if everyone, if you are exactly today the episode inspired you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs this message of hope and alignment. And if we will share all the links about Rahul and my program, if you want to go deeper, I have a daily Thrive program, whereas we have live sessions. So where every week we come together, live to, release, rewire, and realign through breath work and NLP. So thank you so much, everyone. And you will find the link below. So, and connect with me to Instagram, align with Priti Kang, and also the transformation with Priti Kang. So until that, heal with love, align with soul, and thrive with purpose. So thank you so much, everyone.